we did that with each of the new product families that we're going to talk about today. But with the Credo family, we started with that blank page and we said, okay, what are the feature sets that the tactical user and the competition shooter is looking for? And then we built it around that. So that's why you see the wide variety of options.
Right. And one of the things that stands out to me is if you're like, well, I'm not really, a tactical guy. I just like to go to the range and have fun. This is the sweet spot for that guy too. The guy that just wants to go to the range, have a good time. You like having good stuff. You like a good quality product. Take a little bit of a beating. Why? Because life's contact sport. Yeah. Unfortunately, things just kind of get beat up when you use them a little bit.
Sometimes they do.
But one of the things that stands out to me, specifically, an optic. Everybody's got an opinion on a reticle, right? Like some guys want the traditional crosshair reticle. Some want Christmas trees for holdovers. You've got those, and you've not only got those, you got them in minutes, and you got them in mils, and you've got a BDC reticle.
That's right. You're right. Just like there's no one magnification to rule them all, there's no single reticle to rule them all. And so that's why we have 9 different models, everything from a 1 to 4 by 24 up to a 4 to 16 by 50 on the longer range. But we also have 9 different reticle options. We have some brand new ones, MRAD ranging, MOA ranging, some precision tree, some new reticles that we have not had before.
So those of you who are just joining us, I understand we had a little bit of an audio problem. We are talking about the brand new Trijicon Credo line, which has 23 SKUs. Yeah. It's really fantastic.
Right, and with those 23 SKUs come reticle options like we've never seen before from Trijicon. And a personal favorite of mine is an exposed elevation turret, right? So often, when you go and you buy a scope, you zero it at 100 yards or whatever's convenient, and then you think, all right, well that's it. Well, if you want to make a shot at 400 or 500, now all of a sudden, well, I've got holdovers for that, and you got some windage you can hold, but it's just a nice being able to dial, get an exact ballistic solution, and be able to hold on the center part of the reticle, and that's part of the Credo line.
Yeah, and so you're holding our brand new Credo 1 to 8 by 28.
Right.
We made some enhancements from the previous generation. This has the dual, both red and green illuminated.
Right.
So the user doesn't have to choose at the point of sale. They get both options. We have the detachable, a repositionable magnification lever. We refined this reticle. This is a first focal plane model. Right. And so at high magnification, the reticle gets larger. And so that's great, except at longer distances, like 700 and beyond, it starts to, could cover up a target. So we refined this reticle on this new model with a floating center dot. Right.
So you've got a floating center dot in the middle for a high degree of precision. Combine that with a turret that you can dial. When I went through sniper school, I went with a 10 power scope, and we qualified out to 1,000. So, 8 power is still, that's a fair amount of magnification. And the reticle in there is very well designed. You got high precision, but when you dial down to 1 power, that big segmented circle comes in, so you've got a bold aiming point. You can still easily see it, even though it's in the first focal plane. One of the things that you mentioned was that illumination system, red or green. And a lot of times people are like, well, it's like getting dressed in the morning, right? Like, I feel like a red shirt or a green shirt. Well, there are times where red is better and there are times where green is better, and it's nice being able to not only pick which color, but the intensity. Right? So if it's a dark target, dark background, and I need to see just a little bit of the reticle, I'm probably going to go with red, right? Long wavelength, less destructive to the way your eye meters light and sees light. If I want bright, I'm going to go with green and crank it up to max. So a ton of options there. And of course,
so you're holding the
turrets
1
that
to 8.
lock,
We've got
right?
the locking adjuster.
This is like super deluxe model of the Credo.
And then you talked about the other exposed options. So like on the 4 to 16 and some of the other models, the 2 to 10 by 36, which I think is going to be one of my personal favorites.
Right.
We've got the exposed elevation adjuster with 0 stop. So that's just a great feature. You still got the crisp, precise, repeatable dialing.
Right.
Now, eyes free, you can dial back down to 0.
Well, and that 2 to 10 by 36, that's in my mind, that's a very good, just general use, all application. You can do everything with it. Sometimes folks will want to say, well, why the 36 millimeter objective? Let's get a bigger one. And one thing that you should know about bigger objective lenses is with bigger objective lenses come more weight. And with that weight, they're also, the bigger the lens, the heavier it is, the harder it is to immobilize, right? So if you're going to be abusive on your equipment, I'm always going to lean towards smaller objective lenses. Why? Physics, man. Like, it's just, make it heavy, it's hard to keep still.
We have options for larger. We have 50 millimeter objectives in this family, but the 36 is going to be, it's pretty sweet. It's low profile. We have a new 2.5 to 15 by 42.
Right.
I'm struggling whether I'm going to like that or the 2 to 10 more because, it's just great options.
There are so many, you guys are, it's like getting a class here, just listening to the both of you. And if you do have questions, you want to make sure you take the time to comment below, ask them so we can make sure they get them answered, and also be entered to win a Credo.
Right.
We're giving one away. So you'll want to make sure that you comment, just, tag a friend, comment, whatever, and you'll be entered to win.
Yeah, and who doesn't want a free scope?
Right.
But one of the things we touched on there is about immobilizing lenses and everything, and that's my first deployment overseas to Afghanistan. I had Trijicon optic on there, and that thing took a beating. And what that taught me about Trijicon optics is you take durability very seriously.
We did.
Now, a lot of times people get really silly about how they want to test things, right? Like, let's throw it off a building, I'm going to drag it behind my truck. Okay, what's really going to happen with a scope on a rifle? It can be sitting on a bipod, your buddy kicks it over, right? Boom, onto the concrete, or you lean it against a tree and it falls over. And
In
then
slow motion.
yeah, it's like, but what happens on impact is a lens when you get a point of impact shift, a lens moves inside that tube. Moves 1/1000th of an inch, and all of a sudden you're off by an inch or two.
Your zero's off, yep.
Your zero's off. And that's, if you drop your rifle and you get a point of impact shift, it's almost always going to be a lens movement.
Yeah.
So I know you guys test durability. Like,
do.
how do you do it? And
So-
I know these are tested, but
Yeah, so we
tell me
test-
more.
We talk about it with our Science of Brilliant. The test that's probably most applicable to what you're talking about is the drop test.
Right.
And so, because we know that in the real world, things happen.
Yeah.
And so we drop test every single model to confirm that there has been no zero shift.
Right.
We do consecutive round testing, so of 5,000 rounds of a heavy cartridge to confirm that the adjusters still are crisp, precise, repeatable, and that the reticle is still zero.
Okay. So, when I think of Trijicon optics, historically I think, there's the AccuPower line.
Right.
Where does this
Yeah.
fit in? How does this compare?
Great question. And so the AccuPower brand or that family name, we're discontinuing that.
Okay.
And we've enhanced that family, what used to be the
Right, do a
AccuPower
family.
models.
There you go.
And,
so good at it.
they become the Credo family. And we've introduced new models. So the
Right.
AccuPower, so you'll see that here in the Credo, and then in a few hours or so, we're going to talk about some of the hunting versions of this as well.
Right.
But those are applicable to people that, a hunting scope
Yes.
versus, a tactical scope.
Yeah.
It works.
Yes.
Right. It all just depends on features that you're looking
We
for,
try not to
right?
be too prescriptive, so this,
Right.
you can absolutely put this on a bolt action or
Right.
lever action.
Right. So speaking in generalities, hunting scopes, we're going to see more simple reticles.
Yeah.
When you get a tactical, the competition, or even just guys like to ring steel, go to the range, have a good time, that's when we start seeing, a lot of subtension points on reticles and different reticle options and exposed
A
turrets.
little
and
more wind holes, a little more,
Right.
a few more subtensions that we're putting on the tactical scopes.
So 23 different options in this line.
Yeah.
Like, where do they fall on the price spectrum?
Yeah, great question. So everything from $799 up to $1799.
Okay.
So we didn't organize these product families that we're talking about today. They're not organized around price.
Right.
They're organized around
Intent.
who's using them
Yeah.
and what are they using them for.
Great.
And then within that family, there are so many options. You can find the right fit, whether it's a budget consideration or whether it's some feature that you're looking for.
Right. And then the other thing we want to touch on, of course, is first focal. There are scopes with first focal plane reticles. There are scopes with second focal plane reticles. A lot of people think, well, we're just going to first focal all the things. That's kind of the popular thing to do right now. But I'm also a big believer, like second focal, if you're going to live at the lower end of the magnification range and do a fair amount of shooting at the lower end of the magnification range, I think guys a lot of times should be probably better suited by a second focal plane. First focal is if you just spend most of your time at the top half of the magnification. That's just because you got to be able to see that reticle.
Yeah, and we know that, everyone has their own preference. And
Right.
so we have some models like the 1:6 by 24, which is brand new for the LED illuminated scope from us, that is available both in first and second focal plane.
Nice.
So just a ton of options.
So if you haven't had a chance to comment, make sure you do that by the end of this video. We also have some of your questions here.
Yeah.
So DJ asked, does the Credo replace the
Yeah.
AccuPower?
Yep, so it does, and then some, right? So the AccuPower family is being discontinued, the Credo has replaced it, and we've introduced new models, and then we've gone back and enhanced the previous generation of AccuPower models.
All right. Casey asks, how do I choose the best Credo magnification for my need?
So I'm going to say it's going to depend on range that you're going to shoot and how much time you're going to have to make that. Need big field of view. you got moving targets or it's going to be close, I think hover towards the 1 to somethings. And then, you got a 1 to 4, 1 to 6, 1 to 8. Well, how do I pick? How much money you got to spend, right? Because the more money you have to spend, the more magnification range you can get. And then usually the more magnification range, also the heavier the optic. So you got to think about weight. Right. If weight's a consideration, then you want to just really streamline the scope down to get just the magnification. Everybody, I want all the magnification. I want a 1 to 50.
Who doesn't want it all?
Right. But that would be a really big, heavy, expensive scope. So.
And I'll make a shameless plug for our new website. So if you go to our website,
Please do.
You're just like, how do I start to digest this large, whether it's the Credo family or some of the other families we're going to talk about. We have some product selector features. So you can choose your platform, or you can choose the application, and then it'll start to boil it down. And so now you'll see some options, maybe not just within Credo, but the Ascent family that we talked about earlier, or some of one of the new families we're going to talk about next.
Right, that's right. We do have other things to talk about. But before we head on to that, Kevin wants to know when the new scope will be available for purchase.
Yeah. So I mentioned this in the previous half hour, but for folks at the Dallas Safari Club show, they are available for purchase here, which is pretty exciting. We know that everybody can't come to Dallas for this show, so we've also been working with our dealer and retailer partners, and so these new products, the Credo family, are hitting shelves as we speak.
That's
and
great.
So they're available for purchase now.
All right, we have Alexander asking a very important question here. How do you know if you win? That's very
I always
easy.
want to know that. Yeah.
Right.
Trijicon will send you a private message via the platform that you are logging onto if you're one of our lucky winners.
And all they need to do is comment.
Comment or tag a friend or just, insert an emoji that you're so excited. Fire!
Something.
Greg asks, how big is the segmented circle, center dot, and MOA drops?
So it depends on which model we're talking about. Probably don't have time to go too deep into all of the subtensions for the different reticle options in this session right now, but we're adding all of that to the website.
Great.
And so the subtensions will be on there. They can figure out whether that's a great choice.
And that's soon, correct? All of these website updates.
Well, and just my observations, it seems like most of your MOA reticles subtend in 1 minute increments, and most of your mil-based reticles subtend in half mil increments.
Yep.
So, hope that helps.
Scott asked about lockable turrets.
Yeah. So our model with the lockable turrets is what Tom's holding here, the 1 to 8 by 28, locking
Very
both
nice.
elevation and windage adjusters.
Right.
Great.
But we also have options, we talked about it, with exposed elevation, with zero stop, as well as capped adjusters.
Right.
Dave asks, are the new Credo models brighter in regards to illumination?
Yeah, so of course, everyone has different, their mileage may vary in terms of illumination and what's bright for them. Certainly with the 1 to 8 by 28, red versus green, green is a great choice. A lot of times because the human eye can see it brighter. We're going to talk about some new models in some of the other families this afternoon, where we have some totally new reticle design, which we think is going to be a great choice for those that want the brightest reticle.
And if I may, just something for the audience at home about any illumination system is a lot of times, the reticle is etched onto the glass and then it's bathed in the LED light, and then, when you twist the dial, it just adjusts how much light is being broadcast.
We're flooding that reticle.
Is bouncing off. And so a lot, if it's a 2032 battery with an etched reticle, you're going to see similar illumination across just about everybody's product. It's just it's a physics thing. But the one thing that this one has that many don't is the option to choose red and green, and that green makes it pop more.
It does. Yep.
All right, and Josh wants to know about the price.
So the price of the 1 to 8 by 28, which we've been talking about, is $17.99. But again, we go all the way back down to $7.99 with the 3 to 9 by 40 that's in this family.
Cool.
That's great. Well, this has been exciting.
Yeah.
Of course, make sure you get your comment in soon. We talked about Ascent Credo. Thank you so much for joining us. We have another video coming up at the top of the hour. You want to make sure that you check that out, as well as staying with us for the rest of the day, because not only are we launching more exciting optics, but we also have a breakthrough new technology to share with you as well. So stay tuned for our next live stream.